Okay, today we're going to talk about reproductive justice. So, the reproductive justice movement was created by a coalition of Black women scholars and activists in 1994 in Chicago. It centers the needs and lives of women of color, marginalized women, and marginalized folks of all genders. Reproductive justice is about having the power and access to make reproductive choices for oneself. But it's also about more than that. It's about the right to maintain personal bodily autonomy, to have children, not to have children, and to parent the children one has in safe and sustainable communities. So crucially, reproductive justice is about access, not just choice or rights. So lots of movements have focused on the rights that people should have, but they don't always look at who can actually get to use those rights, or who's in a position to get to make those kinds of choices. So let's see here. The easy example is about abortion. So within a reproductive justice framework, it's not sufficient for abortion to be legal, which it is. It also needs to be accessible. So today, even while abortion is legal, many people cannot afford it or cannot travel hundreds of miles to the nearest clinic. Access to abortion also tends to be heavily restricted for immigrants locked in detention centers, even though they too have this right. So according to reproductive justice, there is no real choice where there is no access. So reproductive justice is about abortion, but it's not only about abortion. I don't want us to get bogged down in a debate about the moral permissibility of abortion. We don't have the tools today to have an interesting or productive conversation about it. So if abortion is a sticking point for you, then just focus on the other aspects of reproductive justice. Okay, so reproductive justice is also about access to contraception, comprehensive sex education, STI prevention and care, choice over birth options, adequate prenatal care, domestic violence assistance, gender confirmation services, adequate wages to support families, safe homes, and so much more. Now, historically, reproduction has been phrased as a woman's issue, and some of the literature still frames it that way, but reproductive justice applies to all genders, and securing it takes work from everyone. So for today, I want you to think about two things. First, what are the barriers to accessing the various requirements of reproductive justice? So if someone needs the contraceptive pill, where can they get it? What do they need to be able to get it? Do they need a prescription? How do they get one? Does that involve taking time off from work to go see a doctor? Does it involve getting insurance coverage? What all goes into that? If they're under 18, do they need parental permission? And might it be complicated or dangerous to get that? How much does the pill cost? And where can somebody pick it up? Is it really far away? How supported will someone be when they're trying to get it? And what sorts of bodies is the pill created for, and who's being left out? So let's think about that last one. Amongst a lot of other issues, one thing is that there still isn't a male contraceptive pill that's widely available, and it's worth thinking about how this shifts the burden and responsibility for contraception onto women, while at the same time it deprives men of a tool to control their own reproductive choices. So the second point I want you to focus on is the connection between reproductive justice and sexual agency. So reproductive justice is connected to, but not the same as, sexual agency. So some of the requirements of reproductive justice just might not be super related to sexual agency. They're important, but they're just focused on other things. Some of the requirements of reproductive justice help to support sexual agency. So they help make it better or go more smoothly. And some of the dimensions of reproductive justice are necessary for people to have sexual agency. That means that people can't really control their sexual narrative unless these things are in place. So some of these are necessary background conditions to make sexual agency possible. Okay, for today, I want you to think about both of these points and about how reproductive justice plays a role in your own life.